Only the children of light is gonna understand this.
For there are three philosophical sects among the Jews, the followers of the first of which are the Pharisees, of the second, the Sadducees, and the third sect, which pretends to a severer discipline, are called the Essenes. These last are Jews by birth, and Jews by birth,
This is the knowledge of the Essene brotherhood. This is the knowledge of the Essene brotherhood. This is the knowledge of the Essene brotherhood. Taking it back to the way that it was in the beginning.
All right. First and foremost, I want to say all praises be unto the Most High Almighty, Issachar Christ, our Lord, our God, our Savior. This is the Essene Community Church of Christ. My name is Archbishop Shamar,
And I'm Bishop Barak.
and we be bringing you today's Sabbath lesson / report, worship, song, praise, instructions, gospel. All right, and the gospel, the song, the lesson of the day is understanding faith. All right, understanding faith, 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 faith. And that's what we've been going into. All right, this is part 2 of understanding faith. All right, and we've been understanding that faith is something you can't see. And when you're exercising faith, right, you're exercising faith against something that you don't have concrete confirmation for. All right, and when we ended that off, that when you're exercising that faith, that's when God is now there testing you. All right, and I ended it off as well saying that a lot of people don't like to use faith because they don't want to be wrong. All right, because if you're going to get a test and you don't know the concrete answers and it's with God, everyone's afraid now. All right, and this goes back to Cain, Abel giving the sacrifice by faith, wasn't told, right? He gave it up. He didn't know what God wanted. His father might have given him advice or something, but he didn't know concretely what it is that God wanted. And Cain there as well. Abel's accepted, Cain is not. And Cain is so angry of the rejection. And it wasn't a rejection because he said, if you do good and get it right and come back, you'll be accepted, right? So it wasn't that you're completely rejected, just that you got it wrong, like what the teacher would do. It's wrong. The teacher doesn't hate you. The teacher's not mad at you, right? Teacher doesn't dislike you now because you got it wrong. You just got it wrong. That's the fact, right? The answer is wrong. We don't like the answer, right? The answer is not right, right? And this is a lot of things what we're getting with faith, the trials of faith and things of that nature. All right, and that God wants to see if we believe. All right, without those concrete things, they are present when he tells us things. Will we operate in that way that we're supposed to? Will we do what we're supposed to? Will we have the heart to look at the thing like we're supposed to? All right. And we also went into faith to show that faith was synonymous with support. Right, and we went into Moses being held up, his hand by Aaron and Hur, right, and being held up. And when it wasn't getting support, the Amalekites was taking them down. And when he was getting support, right, they were taking them down. All right, so a big key with the kingdom is support. All right, and then we took that down to God then going to say, hey, about tithing, right, and being robbed from God. And once again, we're going into faith and things concrete, not being able to be seen or to confirm those things. And now he's telling you, hey, if you donate, right, if you tithe, if you do what you're supposed to do by law, right, I'll increase you, right? That takes faith. The people were lacking faith, right? Malachi, right, he's letting them know, hey, to come back to that. Test me and see if I won't fill up the storehouse, right? Because once again, the people were lacking that faith because he doesn't show you concretely. Like, you're not getting to see God's bank account and you're like, oh yeah, he got it. And you know for sure, he's going to send you out a letter and you're hooked up in this. You don't have that confirmation. So you have to believe in what he's saying. All right. And the people a lot of times don't believe what he's saying. And even with Israel, we see that there's a whole chapter about robbing God with the tithes, right? And that's where it came from. People's lack of faith begins to go. They start saying, you know what? I'm increased anyways. Why do I need to give God that to get more? All right. And then we take it to the new covenant with Christ and the woman, right, who tied the 2 mites. And we went into 2 mites, right? 2/8 of a cent. And he said, once again, this is great faith because she's showing support. She doesn't know where she's going to get it. The next, she doesn't see an increase. She doesn't see a lot, but she's sharing the little that she had, right? And she believed that God will secure her in the long run. That's great faith. And Christ pointed it out, right? So a big thing of faith and support, right, is showing it monetary, especially when you don't have. Because the biggest thing that we want from God is support monetarily, all right? Necessities of life. All right. And he's all about faith because this is faith. So he's telling you, all right, if I'm going to give you the necessities of life, if I'm going to increase you greatly, can you even follow the rule of giving me 10% of what you have? All right. So this is where we kind of ended off there. All right. So we're going to go right back into it. On page 1, we're going to go to Isaiah 53:1.
It's the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 53, verse 1. Who had believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed?
All right, so who has believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Most High revealed? All right, knowing how the Most High operates in a certain secrecy, all right? Reveals himself, sends the word of the Lord onto a chosen vessel. All right, that vessel is revealed by the word of the Lord, who is Christ, right? What he was revealed by the Most High, all right? The individual sent out to declare, thus saith the Most High, all right? And the people are to believe on what? Why are they sent out in this way? Because we're understanding you got to believe on the word. And why it was sent out like that before is because you have to believe on the word through faith. So the word didn't come out physically there. Right. But the more they're lacking, the more they're not listening to the prophets, the physical word then came. Right. Those there then. Right. They had faith by believing in him, but they still were able to see him. So it's still not as much faith as us when we're going in there, not being able to see, hear what he's saying, see the ministry, that the people that's connected to him. Right. So he comes there and sees, and people still don't believe. Right. Now we're in the time again where the word came. You're hearing about the word again. Now there's a complete faith in the word now, because it came, now it's gone. You're hearing he came. You don't know it came though, right? You never seen it. In fact, right now they tell you Jesus not real, right? Christ not real. All right. So now we're leaning on that full faith, which completes the doctrine, the everything wrapped up with the word. The word came with the prophets who he sent out with it. Now he came with it. Now he's not here. Now it's complete faith now in the word. And that's the power of the word right there. All right. And it's still the same thing. You got to what? He didn't come here and he left the thing and you have video evidence. The same. You got to believe again in the word, the same word that he just sent out with the prophets on his own. Now you have to believe on the story of the word and all of that. And the same way, do you have enough evidence? It's always God knows the story. You are going to have to use faith. That all the concrete evidence, all the stuff in the earth is to bring you to an answer in faith. All right.
I was thinking when you say concrete evidence, well, we really have the Bible.
Yeah. Bible, Dead Sea. Yeah.
It's records.
Records. That's all you're going to have.
Yeah.
All right. And who is the arm of the Lord revealed? The power of the Lord. People want to see the actual power. All right. And even when the word was there doing the power, they still weren't believing. All right, so we're going to go into the scriptures to ensure that they're interpreted, translated, and taught correctly. All right. We're at Hebrews 11 and 1. We're going to start from there.
Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. And this is out of the Aramaic, the George Lamsa Aramaic Peshitta. This is the same Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, just as it was the substance of things which have come to pass, and it is the evidence of things not seen. And in this way it became a testimonial of the elders.
All right. And in this way, it became a testimonial for the elders. So now faith is a substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. So you get some evidence. You have the Bible here. You have, records that you could go through. You have certain things, but you don't have God, the ministry, the apostles, everything confirmed. You don't have society confirming it for you. You don't have all the governments aligned telling you, yeah, this is the truth. You don't have all the confirmation you need. So it's still something that you're going to have to rely on. I see all these things leading to here, and you're going to now have to lean on faith to complete the whole thing. All right. But you do get evidence. All right. So there is evidence, which are concrete things, but you don't get the full answer. The answer is not evident. All right. So you don't get the answer. You get the things leading up to the answer, but the answer itself, which would be, all right, the word you're seeing, God you're seeing, an angel you're seeing, something to confirm for you, right? You're not getting that. Right, you're going to have to lean on, all right, this is my common knowledge. With all these things here, I'm leaning to that answer. All right, and just even in class, when things are there, because when a teacher asks a question on a subject like that, and they're like, all right, who wants to answer? Everybody in there is usually, someone might have it, but they don't want to. That's the perfect example of faith, where you're going to have to put an answer out. You're going to have to stamp something. Right.
And this goes back into confident. How confident are you
Yeah.
in the answer that you have, too?
Correct. All right. To be confident in that answer. And it's fine if you don't have the answer. The number one thing that you have to know is just what? That you're okay to with what? With correction. That's it. That's all. Should be no problem to answer something as long as you're okay with correction.
And you're showing a good example, too, with the example that you're giving for children in a classroom, because we all been there. And now imagine that's what it's like for children. Now much less now you're an adult with more ego involved.
Yeah, more ego. Yeah, you're like, you don't want to say like, yeah. Or they probably, you know what they say, I knew that. I kind of knew it. You didn't know. You didn't get it right to say you didn't know. You don't have to say, I knew that. Or just don't say nothing. Just take it. You were wrong. Okay? Yeah. Well, when you're an adult, especially, you have pride. Somebody else is asking you. You want to know. Hey, I don't know that. You're like, I'm embarrassed. I don't even know.
Yeah.
All right? I feel like I'm falling back. I feel like a fool.
Yeah.
All right? So that's a lot of reasons why a lot of people's not in faith, because they're like, hey, I believe in everything. They have to choose. They're like, I don't want to choose. I believe you could get God in everything. Right? I believe you could find God in a piece of everything. And when someone says that, that means that they don't exercise faith at all. They don't want to say one thing is wrong, one thing's bad, so I can get something good out of all of them.
It's the same God, just has different names.
Yeah, same God, different names. God would, he wouldn't do this question and answer thing and one's wrong, one's right thing. He wouldn't do that, would he? All right. So this is what we're seeing here. All right. And then when people come into faith now and they get hit with questions and things that rattle their faith now, and they can't answer that. Now it's even, they're gone now, out of the faith now. And like, yeah, I can't answer these things. They don't want to answer nothing no more.
Yeah, and the irony of that, you can actually read Christ with the parable of the sower, and you could see that example right there too as well. Mm-hmm. Where they weren't like grounded properly.
Right, not being grounded. All right, so people know these things. All right, so let's go to page 2 there, just to rehash a couple of things again. All right, so let's go to Hebrews 11 and 6.
All right, this is the book of Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him.
All right. So, but without faith, it is impossible to believe him. So without this question and answer thing and you raising up and getting an answer in something, this is impossible to please God. All right. If you just go in and get in the concrete answer, he don't like that. That's why it's not, the law is not good enough. All right. Because you getting the answer and you going back to work on it. That's not what God wants. God wants faith. And faith means, hey, the things unseen, you have evidences leading up to it, right? But you're going to, when you choose, you're choosing right. And we've seen Adam had that, because Adam, when he was naming the animals, he named them what God wanted him to name. He didn't tell them that, right? So he guessed, all right, the animal should be named this. It's the same thing I would name it, Adam, right? That's faith, right? And he's able to look at the animal, guess all the characteristics, and be like, this is the animal's name. All right, so it's using these examples. And once again, he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So those who are seeking that answer and get the right answer, right, they get a reward. Just the same way you get in class and the stickers and all of that. It's the same thing. All right, a reward for those who are diligent in faith, that go and get the answer, that put their hand up and, hey, I have it. All right, so we left... All right, I guess we will rehash the two. And, yeah, we'll start at page 12.
Page 12?
Yeah, we'll rehash the.
All right.
All right, so we're at page 12.
All right. All right. This is the book of St. Luke, chapter 21, starting right at the top, verse 1. And he looked up and saw the rich men casting their gifts into the treasury. And he also saw a certain poor widow casting in thither 2 mites. And he said, of a truth I say unto you, that this poor widow hath cast in more than they all. For all these have their abundance cast in unto the offerings of God. But she of her penury had cast in all the living that she had.
All right, so we're going to analyze this, that, right? He looked up, he saw rich men casting their gifts into the treasury. And once again, they're giving, so it's still the same percentage. Let's say it's the same percentage. We're showing the difference here and why it comes back to faith. The rich men, doesn't matter what the percentage is, because they're rich, they have plenty. So they can see X amounts for later. They can see the small amount that they're giving away. Right? That X amount that they have is still a large amount in comparison to what they're giving away. That X amount can still do things for other days. That's not really faith, because they can see, all right, I need to give this. I have plenty more where I can get from the next days. All right. And there are other situations. This woman here, she's giving of her last. She doesn't know where she's going to get from. She doesn't have money to be like, oh, this is going to pay for this and that. Right? She's taking out of what she barely even have. Right? You could barely see it. It's so small already. Look at the 2 mites. All right? She probably had a penny in total, but she gave 2 of them out of there. Right? 2 of the mites out of there, which we've seen was about 1/8 of a penny, 1 mite. All right, so that's great faith, why he had to stop that, right? So we have to go back again, what pleases God. It says, without faith, it's impossible to please him. So when he sees it being demonstrated in front of him, he has to stop and say, hey, this is great faith. He said, of a truth I say unto you, that this poor woman has cast in more than they all. And he's like, you guys aren't even taking in what's happening right now. Because that's great faith. She's not seeing where she's going to get support from, right? So even she's giving out of the little that she has now, that takes great faith, because the remaining that she has is still small amounts, and she can't see how she's going to secure herself the other days after she gave that amount. In contrast to the rich men who are giving a certain amount, they can see how they're going to pay their rent and this and this and that tomorrow, because they have a surplus amount. So it's not the same faith, even though they did do whatever. That rich man will be tested in great faith somewhere else, which you seen when he was tested, when he had to give it all up now.
When are we sad?
Right? You're like, oh, I got to give it all up to God. Now he's getting tested because the rich man, he thought you were in faith the whole time because you've seen abundance. You've seen yourself being secured. Now Christ said, give it to me at the second. He didn't know if he would got it all back. You have to trust and believe in God. But for that one time, God's in front of him again, couldn't do with the reality of, hey, I know we're saying this is the Messiah. I know we're saying this is that, but give all my money, all my thing, all my life savings.
That man never did it. He said, nah, he changed his mind.
All right, so we're seeing that. So this, once again, monetary funds is the biggest one. Why? Why is this the biggest test of faith? Right? Because your life is on the line. All right, your dependency is on this, believing if God will feed you or not. All right, and this is even going into households now, right? Because a lot of times, right, the breadwinner, they're not feeding, the other partner is gone. All right. Before, when they got with the partner, they're like, oh, I can see the partner securing. Now the partner hit a rough patch where they're going to have faith in the partner to get the stuff back. They're leaving the partner. They're not allowing him to build up. Oh, when you got with the partner, they were already secured. All right, that's not great faith. You already seen them in their stuff. That's why they say it's kind of bad when you're rich already to get an individual, because it's like they already seen that. There's not really no faith. Like, look at the Most High. We know he's abundance, but we don't see that abundance. He comes to us like he's poor. You don't even believe he has money, which is why people don't even want to do the tithe to know that he's going to hit them back.
That's why he also physically came out of Nazareth too as well, in that area there, because it was known as a poor area.
He did like a coming to America. Yeah. Yeah, he's like, I'm going to go to the earth. I'm going to choose the lowliest people. Yeah, I mean.
Or even how they have undercover boss too.
Yeah.
They go in there like they're a nobody.
Yeah, like a nobody. That's what Christ did. All right, because he knew if he came with everyone going to be, oh, God's here. He ain't going to get the real reaction. Right? He came with the lowliest, through the lowliest people. Okay? Lived at the lowliest, they say, place on earth. Right? When he's going to the wilderness, they say that place in the wilderness, Dead Sea, the lowest elevation on earth, right there. Right, in the Dead Sea Basin. All right, so let's continuing on. All right, just going to Stanford University, what two mites is.
Okay, this is an article out of Stanford.
Oh, no, it says Stanford. It says Stanford. Stanford University.
Okay, Samford University Library. The mite, also known as a lepton, was a Jewish coin and the smallest used in New Testament time. At the time of Mark's writing, it was worth 1/64th of a denarius. A denarius was a day's wage for a common worker. In today's terms, it would be worth about 1/8 of a cent. The one pictured below is believed to have been minted between 103 to 76 BC.
All right, so how long ago? So it would be worth 1/8 of a cent. She gave 2 of those in. She didn't have much. She didn't know how she was going to be living the next day. Great faith. When she's tested like that and given that, guess what? She probably increased. They don't have it in the story because not everything is written in here, but I can tell you she got increased. That she was no longer a poor lady after this story. Okay? I can tell you that. Especially if Christ is right there stamping it. Say, yeah, she already passed the test. She just passed right there. All right. So I won't put if right now, this is where we're going to use faith now. By all what I'm seeing right here and these, evidences, I'm going to lean on the answer that she was rich after this. God can tell me I'm wrong or not. That's fine. But I'm leaning on the answer. I'm going to answer and use faith and exercise faith that, hey, that lady, based on the evidences I'm seeing, she was rich after he spoke this. All right? Maybe not right away. At some point, she was rich. All right. So we're at page 13. We're at Testament of Issachar.
This is the Testament of Issachar.
No.
All right, so this is chapter 3, starting at the 6th verse. And my father always rejoiced in my rectitude, because I offered through the priest to the Lord all first fruits, then to my father also. And the Lord increased 10,000-fold his benefits in my hands. And also Jacob, my father, knew that God aided my singleness. For on all the poor and oppressed I bestowed the good things of the earth in the singleness of my heart.
All right, so Issachar here is saying, and my father always rejoiced in my restitude because I offered through the priests to the Lord all first fruits. So just going again that we're going that, hey, the people, the rich men that were doing that.
We need to go on for the next.
Because I put it on this one.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We'll fix it just now.
All right, going back again, that the rich men, right, prior, they could have been tithing their whole time. The whole time that they were tithing, it wasn't really faith. That's what God's showing, because they're rich. That's not the faith part that they would be getting tested in. All right. So just going again, if someone's tithing, that's fine. That's a part of your stuff, showing your support, right? It is part of showing support, right? But it's not really true test of faith, right? Because you have abundance to see where you're getting next, right? In contrast to the next individual. All right. Here, Issachar is doing a thing of the law. So when you're doing the law, that's not faith, right? Because you're told concretely and you're seeing the law, that's something you have to do. It's not faith, right? You're doing works in the law now because you've seen it. It was told for you to do. You got concrete evidence of it, all right? So that's not the part of faith being exercised here with Issachar, all right? What the part is that, hey, God never told him that, hey, all right, tithing means for a leader, all right? You're seeing that you're giving to the Father, the Heavenly Father. Hey, I might as well give it to my earthly father. I might as well tithe to my earthly father too. You get what I'm saying? So that's where his faith was. That he never seen that there, but he seen the connection and said, yo, honestly, I should be tithing to, if I'm going to tithe to the Heavenly Father, he showed me I should tithe to the earthly father too, to give him that respect, right? That's not in the law. That's the part of that he exercised that was faith, why the Most High even increased him even more, 10,000-fold, right, for believing in the support. So much so that he supported God, who is told to supply, and then even his parent. And now for the kid to be like, all right, how great a faith is that? Even right now, all right, people have great fear of God. I got to tithe to God. But now you're here, you got to tithe to your parent, your dad. Who's going to do that? They're like, I got to tithe to my parent. Why? Like, he's supposed to give me money. Right? So it still is great faith, because let's ask any kid, oh, give your parent money, right? Pay them out of your thing. They're going to be like, I'm already getting a little. You see, you don't know what the parent going to do. You don't know what, why is God needed? God is needed because of tests. These are all tests. So when you're doing that and why you're getting it, it's bringing you up, right? It's teaching you morals. It's teaching you all of that. And with that, God will run the test and give you a reward and all of that, because he don't need the money.
Yeah. I will say, if I'm not mistaken, in Chinese culture, the way how it is, when the child gets older and they're stable financially, they actually do provide support financially to their aging parents. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I know, yeah, they do that.
So this, once again, knowing that the Father, the earthly Father, is made in likeness of the Heavenly Father. All right. And by knowing that, they exercise faith, Issachar to be like, all right, if I'm going to do this with the Father, I'm going to do this with the Father and complete it. And he's like, yo, the Lord increased me 10,000-fold. His benefits in my hand.
So it's like when Christ said, if your brother asks you to go 1 mile, go an extra mile. So basically you're applying that same law to the Father.
Yeah. But if you see so let's say, for instance, the 1 mile is the law. That's the 1 mile. The extra mile is, yo, the law said this, but I see.
It goes beyond the law.
Correct. That's now the extra mile. All right, and that's the one that you're going to be rewarded for, truly. That's the one he's now happy with. The first one is like, all right, obviously I'm happy you did it, but I told you to do it. The second one's like, yo, you knew that, yo, you got it now. And bosses like that too, because when your boss is there, so once in the workplace, the boss, hey, all right, I got to come tell the worker this and that every time. The boss love you, go away, come back. How did you know to do that? How did you know the thing? How did you know that you should have organized this thing that way? The boss could have got angry at you, but once again, you're exercising faith to be like, you know what? I think the boss, I'm going to make a change around here and show him that something should be different and show him the result of that and exercise that faith. All right. Now, if the boss comes and is like, yo, this person don't know what to do, nothing. Like when I was the job I had, he's like, the worst thing they know is like, yo, everything on the computer, every single thing. They can't figure out nothing on the fly. They got to call me for that's the person they don't want there. Because you can't do nothing on your own. You need someone to show you concretely. You can't figure it out. You can't guess the answer. You don't even want to guess. You're not even trying to guess. You're like, I need help right away. You didn't even try yourself. Nothing. All right? People don't like that. Bosses in the same position as the Lord. They don't like that. They want you to be able to figure it out, get the right answer. If they come and they see, hey, you try to get it, at least they're like, yo, you at least try to get it. Here's the right thing here. You didn't call me. Just don't mess up totally. Don't burn the place down. Don't destroy everything. Don't, erase everything off the computer. You get what I'm saying?
It's giving you a chance to add on to the family business, which is charity. And it's like extra, when you do extra things, it's like you're adding on more to, he already does extra.
Yeah. We just added on more. Like the business, you get there, you're like, oh, I put my niche in here, right? If he tells you everything to do, then there's nothing for you to do on your own.
And then, there's some employees that would complain that the boss is always shadowing me or breathing on my neck. Is because when he's not there, you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. You have to be told directly what to do. All right, so let's use the law of nature with all these instances here. All right, so we're at Proverbs 3:9.
Honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine.
All right, so this is not even really a faith thing, all right? So the faith thing, once again, Issachar got increased like double X amount. He's not even telling you to exercise faith here really because he's telling you, hey, right? He's telling you what's going to happen with it. So it's like, all right, the money part and you having that's the faith part. But he already told you what was going to be the result of everything. He already told you that, hey, if you honor me with the substance, right? The first fruits of that increase, your barn's going to be filled up plenty. Presses shall burst out with new wine. That's now every person who's, bro, you should be testing God with this theory. All right. You should be testing him because this is the same way. I didn't see this, but I'm like, God said that if you actually try, he give you the knowledge. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to test God. I'm there. I'm like, you know what? I picked up the thing. I'm like, I'm going to see. I'm like, I'm going to really see if, I can learn knowledge and this. I'm like, look at this. I looked at the thing. I still have the pamphlets, everything. And now look at I'm here teaching. So I know that he's seen and he increased me with more understanding greatly enough that I could become and lead. Right. But at that time, I'm like, he really going to look at me and make me understand the Bible, these words that I'm looking at and I can't even understand what they're saying. All right. But that's me I was so angry to be like, not really angry, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to prove if this real or not. Like, let's get it over with so I can live my life. And from that moment, I couldn't prove it real or not. I could only prove it real, which is why I'm here. If I could have proved it fake, I wouldn't have been. I would have been living my life doing whatever. Right? But he kept increasing the understanding just the same way it says in the scripture that you do, if you're seeking it. All right. So the believer is to honor the Father through their substance. All right. Showing and substance and offering, showing faith. All right. So you're to honor the Father through the substance and offering, showing faith. Right. This is how you receive back plenty from the Almighty. All right. The blessing will burst out. All right. And he's telling you the answer. So you know the answer, which is the reward. You know what's going to happen with that. So he at least gave you that. It's not like, oh, just give and you'll see what will happen. He told you, he's telling you. Like, I don't think so shall thy barns be filled with plenty. Thy precious shall burst out with new wine. He's telling, it's going to be filled up. It's going to burst out. Right, Sirach 7:31.
It's the book of Sirach, also known as Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. Chapter 7, verse 31. Fear the Lord and honor the priest, and give him his portion, as it is commanded thee, the first fruits and the trespass offering, and the gift of the shoulders, and the sacrifice of sanctification, and the first fruits of the holy things.
All right, so it says, fear the Lord, honor the priest, give him the portion as it is commanded. So it is commanded, all right, the first fruits, all right, the trespass offering. These are all other things. Those other things were attached to the law, all right? The first fruits, that's a natural law because the first fruits is attached to your crops, to all of that. The other, some of these other things was things that was incorporated with their civil society and certain things of that nature. All right. So just going back again, that the Most High is telling the individual, all right, to bring that up to the priest. What's happening now in the world is that when people are doing that, they're looking at the individual, all right? So don't matter what the individual does when you give it, the institution, whatever, because you exercise faith, that's what God is dealing with you with that. He will deal with the other institution and them with what they deal with when they got that and whatever, right? But a lot of times the people, they're now looking concretely to be like, all right, what are the people doing with it and this and that? You have to have faith, all right? That, hey, you're giving this, God's seen you do that. Whatever they do with it, that has nothing to do with you, all right? That's nothing to do with your faith, your walk, your nothing, all right? That shouldn't stop you, right? But it does stop you when you're now looking concretely and seeing that, and then you stop giving, be like, oh, I can't get to them because they're not doing this. You're not using faith because now you're saying you have to see what they're going to do and all of this stuff with it, and going away from faith again, which is not seeing, all right? And I use the example when you go into the store, or into the restaurant, right? What faith is. When you go into the restaurant to sit down, they can't be like, yo, you got to pay right now.
Not only that, you want to see them cook your food so they're not doing anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So most restaurants, they don't even let you see that, right? You have to exercise faith. It's only somewhere you're doing the walk thing right in front of you. Right, so a lot of faith in there. And when you go into a restaurant that they're saying you're going to sit down and dine in, they literally can't charge you prior. Why? Because this world operates on good faith. Good faith means you can't see. You go in the store and they're like, yo, let me see the money in your pocket. What do you mean you want to see the money in my pocket? You know, anyone out there, don't ever let them do that to you.
Just like that, I seen the other day, a guy went to the store and he put on a pair of shoes, and then he got up and then he started running like he's gonna run out the store. And the people behind him, they're like, started chasing him. And then he just turned around, and it just shows that people don't trust people like that.
Yeah, no.
Everything, it seems like everything can be taken advantage of. So trust is a big issue when it comes to these things.
Oh, definitely. Gone out one time. All right, so restaurants, and even when we went to the restaurant, when the things get bigger now, they still can't charge you ahead of time. So we're getting the tab 3,000. All the most they can do is like, yo, can you put the card down ahead of time? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they can't charge it. They can't put they would love to charge it and hold it. You know what I'm saying? They can't. They're like, you know what I mean? We have it there in case something happens. Yeah. All right. And even there's a lot of businesses where people are like, all right, if you're going to the spa or anything like that, and you call, you make a appointment, you have your card. If you don't go, they would like to, you didn't pay yet. You know what I'm saying? And now you took time. That's someone's time. They're getting paid after that. You canceled it. They trying to charge you, right? They didn't charge you already, which is why a lot of people can get off of those things, right? And then they try to charge you because you're like, oh, you put your card down, and they do chargeback and all of that. But it comes back again that the businesses are at a deficit because they're dealing with faith. And the faith is, I can't get it right away. I can't see it right away. I can't touch it right away. And I can't ask for it. There's no way for them to do that. If they do that, that's bad. They're practicing bad faith in the business practice. All right, so just showing what faith is once again. All right, so we are at, we're at 1 Corinthians 16:1.
Now concerning the collection for the saints, as I have given order to the churches of Galatia, even so do ye. Upon the first day of the week, let every one of you lay by him in store, as God had prospered him, that there be no gatherings when I come.
All right, so here is the same thing. The collection for the saints is the same thing that they were doing here. All right, collection for the saints. So that's the same collection pay. Where are they doing it? They were doing it on the first day. All right, on the first day of the week. When's the first day of the week? Sunday. Okay, so we see that. All right, that's what they're gathering it around. All right. Let me say, upon the first day of the week, everyone you lay by him in store as God has prospered him. Because now they're like, that the week was past, you know for sure what God prospered you in that week. You know what I'm saying? The week has come to end now. All right, so they're showing you again that they're doing this at the end of the terms. Why are they doing it at the end of the week? Because it's saying upon the first week, because God has prospered him. Whatever you did in that week, that's what God blessed you with, right? So we're seeing why they put it on the first day, the collection, right? We're at 2 Corinthians 9:2.
For the administration of this service not only supplieth the want of the saints, but it is abundant also by many thanksgivings unto God.
All right, so this once again is showing for the administration of this service not only supplieth the want of the saint, not only supplieth and supports the saints in God, right, but is abundant also by many thanksgiving on. So it's not even just about, it does do that for the saints. So they're putting, it is, this administration supplieth for the wants of the saints, all right, but not only that, all right, it is abundant also by many thanksgiving unto God. When you do it, you're giving many thanksgiving unto God, who's then rewarding the individual at a future later time through their life. All right. And once again, they don't know when that is. They're just doing that and they're okay with that. And it's once again, your heart has to be okay with it. In your heart, you have to be okay. I'm giving this here. Whenever it is that God want to bless me, I'm good with that. If your heart is pressed like I gave this and you're like, yo, I gave this here. And you're like, yo, a week passed, 2 weeks passed. Like you're already failing. All right. You're to be okay with whenever God decides that's the time, whenever that is. Okay with it in your heart. That's fine. Whenever it is, it's fine. The quicker you can get over that in your heart, the quicker it'll actually come, because that's what the test is. All right. The more antsy you are, the more you're going to hold out.
Yeah, you might not even get.
You might not even get it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about Simon and Peter's situation there, where he's trying to buy the Holy Spirit. It's like you and your money perish because you thought you can buy it with money.
Yeah, you want it right away. You don't want to work for it. You just want to buy it.
Yeah. But then Simon did turn around and say, "Yo, okay, just pray for me then." So, yeah.
All right. So we're just showing once again what that faith and support and how big support is to God. Because if one thing he can see concretely, so he's going to be like, all right, I'm testing your faith. All right. But he's also testing you with concretely, because he's like, he knows that we're concrete. Right. So he's going to test us with these concrete things. And the biggest concrete thing he could test us with in our life is monetarily. You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest test. Life on the line. They say that's the biggest, and as well, the monetary and crime. All right. So someone's life going to be put in jail. They say that's when, all right, are you going to snitch? You going to like, what you going to do now? Like, you know what I'm saying? First, like, my life on the line. Like, you know what I'm saying? Forget all of that friend stuff. This, he did it. All right. The friend, like, I thought we were friends. This is the real test now. He's like, yeah, I can't deal with a life of, you know what I mean?
Especially that I didn't do.
That's something else. Sometimes the person's innocently there, and the person wows out, and you're stuck with this thing of not being charged with something that you had nothing to do with. And so you have to make that decision is you know, people say snitch, but no, this somebody else's actions should not be mine to hold.
Yeah, well, the hood is, or the ghetto is unorganized. So technically, it's an oath of faith that they take. But when you take I guess it's an unorganized oath of faith that once we're hanging around with each other,
Street laws, man. Unwritten street law.
That's the oath. Whatever happened, we said.
They need to be rewritten.
Well,
see, that's a problem. Innocent people are being victimized, and we have to still continue to sit under this thing of not snitching. When somebody's evil is evil, wicked is wicked. So where do you stand? Do you stand with somebody who's going to be doing madness and at the cost of innocent people? But I mean, so, you know, this idea of snitching is overrated. If me and you are criminal together, that's a different thing. But if I'm innocently standing there and somebody's committing a crime and I happen to be just knowing that person, I'm not gonna hold his weight. I don't care. Call me a snitch then. I'm not gonna hold somebody.
No, in the street they would be like that. They would call the person a snitch, but technically they wouldn't be like the person's the real snitch that they're talking about is the friend who is a part and associated in snitching. But they're still gonna call the person who tells a snitch, but it's a different type of snitch. It's not the snitch that like the mobsters talking. That nigga snitch. They're not that one. But they still, it's not that one. That one is the one who they're a part of whatever, and to get out, they're doing whatever.
Okay, I know that one.
Yeah, that's the one we're dealing with. The other ones, everybody knows that you know they gonna tell.
Yeah.
All right. So just once again, that this administration is just of service, not only supply at the one of the saints, but it's abundant unto many thanksgiving unto God. So it's not even about the saints. I just added that. It's about what it does for God. Anything you're doing is for God. God is happy. Many thanksgiving. He's going to reward you for that, because the biggest thing, test of faith, is money. That's the biggest one you can get. That's the test you're going to be getting all day long. All right, we're at Habakkuk 2 and 4.
Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith.
All right, so behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. So the just, they're going to live by this faith. All right, the just is going to live by the same faith of not being, and this whole world is really made by that. All right, so in this world right now, there's two sides. There's the people who don't have faith. They're concrete. They're more concrete, meaning they get to see and know when they're doing something, they know what's happening. So they go to work, they know how much they going to work, they know how much pay they're going to get, right? They know all of those things. And then there's the other side of the world where these people are business people, all right? Any businesses, they're working usually by credit, all right? There's the business that the hard person that works from the ground up, but most of these big businesses out there came from, hey, capital. All right, and using this capital, which is credit, to then advance themselves. All right. The other side is just a working class side, and they work hard for their stuff. And then the other side is the side that uses stuff that is advanced to them for a plan that they have in their mind, right? But they exercise it, and they're able to get more money too, because it's not limited into that their thought or hours and pay. Right? They're using their faith. The faith is then connected to a monetary thing where they're now asking for this plan that they have faith for. They're getting that, and then they're working. All of it's attached to this big thing of faith where God is able to bless them more abundantly. The other side is being restricted because everything that they're getting is because they know what they're getting. You know what I'm saying? They know exactly what they're getting. You know exactly what you're going to get for the next 15, 20 years if you really want to know. You know what I'm saying? And now, obviously, there's a way to blend both sides. Them doing that, and then at the same time doing business, investments, all of that could blend the two together. But if you're just the person going to the work and doing that, you'll be stuck. You'll know exactly what you have in that time frame. And you're restricted to that because of the concreteness, right? While the other side is exercising faith, they're getting bigger loans, they're getting bigger credit things, they're expanding more, they're not stuck in hours of things. Right, and that's how they're living in this world right now, which they want to stop. They say it's a capitalist world, but it's a faith world because it's ran by faith instruments, which is credit. Right, and that's how they're living. The just is able to live by that faith, while the other side not realizing how the world is operating. Right, the employee is concrete with the hours and the pay. All right, so we're at Romans 1 and 16.
For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek. For therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith.
All right, so it says, I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto the salvation of everyone that believeth. All right, so the same gospel of Christ, we know that the same thing we said, the word came physically, right? But it's gone now again, so it's still faith in the word again, right? But not being ashamed of the gospel that came from him. Why? Because it's the power of God unto salvation of everyone that's going to believe on this last thing of faith, right? John 3:16. All right, to the Jew first, then also to the Greek, right? The Gentile. So it's letting us know that the same thing that we're saying, that the word was sent out with the prophet first. No evidence, no thing, just the word you got to believe. They didn't believe. He sent enough prophets out. All right, then he sent out the physical word. All right, the physical word's there, right? Not that much faith when you're getting the physical word there and all of that. So going back to Thomas and all of that, right? So they have some faith to, all right, that's the Messiah in front of us to believe. It still takes some faith, but you're still getting something concrete to lead to that faith. Contrast to now, the word is gone now. All we have is the gospel now, right? And now those who are believing, this is the power unto salvation now. Now we're in the salvation time. Now this one counts. You believing on this, you get this right. We're in salvation. We're in eternity now. This is the big test now. The word came now, is gone now, and it's belief back in the word now. Belief now is salvation, all right, unto everyone. The power of God unto salvation. People don't believe. All right. Just once again, this is why they say in this world now, go see some death. Time flies fast. Time is flying, even for these youth. I can still remember right now, like I was just your age. And I'm like, man, I'm still in denial of how old I am, right? I just came in to realize it. I'm like, what's going on right now? I'm getting old, right? Time's flying. This is why this time is temporary and small and minute. Salvation, once again, the scripture says 1 drop, all right, of sand in the water is 1,000 years in eternity. 1 drop of sand, 1 drop of water in the ocean. That's 1,000 years in eternity. The time you're dealing with right now is very small and minute. This is why it's a great test of faith, because right now, in the concrete, it feels like a lot of time. Feels like a lot's going on. But in contrast, when God's telling you 1,000 years, 1 drop of rain in the sea is 1,000 years in eternity. 1,000 years, 1 drop of rain in the sea. How much years are you going to be living? How much life is that? That's why it's such a big test right here. I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation for everyone that believes. To the Jew first, and then also to the Greek. For therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith. Now, what's the big faith now? The big faith, the just going to live for eternity by that faith. All right, we're going to go to Romans 3:12.
The book of Romans chapter 3, verse 3. For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect?
All right, so now what if some did not believe? So now it's saying, what if some not going to believe? All right, does that mean the eternal life is still not there? No, all right. For some did not believe, their unbelief make the faith of God without effect? No, all right, it's still going to be there. All right, still going to happen. People still going to live for eternity. So now you're gambling now. Once again, this is the big thing of faith where you don't have the answer. And for in the world, that's why it's like, all right, it could be looked at as it's not cool and we want to go to the world. But when we realize what's at stake here and how limited life is and how you're not really living it even right now, how you'd want to, why would you waste it away and gamble it away for a chance at eternity? All right. And then once again, it's for you now to go into the scriptures and to prove all those things, to lead up to those little evidentiary things to tell you know what? Yeah, there is a point of why I'm doing this, and there is more than what the people in the earth are seeing. Because why? It's a big test again. So you're going to see the world. God already made it this way. The world's going to operate and be like, yeah, it's something total opposite. You have to make a decision. You have to see, analyze the scripture, analyze the world, see what's going on, and make that decision of faith. All right. They got to come to it. You're not going to get concrete with it.
And nobody can convince you. You got to convince yourself.
Yeah, you have to convince yourself. All right. We're at 1 Chronicles 9:20.
And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, was the ruler over them in time past, and the Lord was with him. And Zechariah, the son of Melishemiah, was porter of the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. All these which were chosen to be porters in the gates were 212. These were reckoned by their genealogy in their villages, whom David and Samuel the seer did ordain in their set office. So they and their children had the oversight of the gates of the house of the Lord, namely the house of the tabernacle by wards. In 4 quarters were the porters towards the east, west, north, and south. And their brethren, which were in their villages, were to come after 7 days from time to time with them.
All right. So here we're seeing, when are we reading this? All right. So it says Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, was a ruler over them in the past. All right. he's giving them and setting them in the office. So we're going to take, all right, David and Samuel, the seer, did set in their office. All right, so they set them in their office. When we're going to this office word, all right, give us that word.
All right,
Office.
this is the definition, a strong definition for office. This Hebrew word H530 or H50, 530, Strong's word. Emona, and feminine of H20, H5029, H529, literally firmness, figuratively security, moral fidelity, faith, faithful, faithfulness, faith, man, set, office, stability, steady, truly, truth, verily.
All right, and give us the office etymology.
The etymology of office, which is a noun from the mid-13th century, quote, a post in government or administration, an employment to which certain duties are attached, secular position of authority or responsibility, end quote. Also means, quote, place or function, divine service, and directly from Latin officium, which means a service, kindness, favor, an obligatory service, official duty, function, business, ceremonial observance. And also in medieval Latin, church service.
All right, so office. Office is also, it says faith, all right? Stability, steadiness, truth, verily, all right? And this same word, emuna, that's the word that was used when, right, with the holding up of Moses' hands, all right? Showing us that faith is a firmness, a steadiness. All right, it's an office. Why am I bringing this up? Because office, all right, are positions. The president is an office. These positions, usually when they're made, they're set forever. Usually, you know what I'm saying? They're set forever. A true office is set forever because it's separate from the individual. When the individual dies, the office remains. It's its own thing. All right, and I'm bringing that in because if you're in faith, all right, faith has a stability, a firmness. If you're in faith now, to be real faith is now to be set in that faith. All right, it's not faith until you're really set in that thought and believe in that, what you're doing. And then it's not faith completely until you work in that office. You know what I'm saying? You have an office, you never went to the office? All right? You got to go to the office to work. They're like, the boss, we never see him in the office.
That boss is working by faith.
He's in total faith. But he is. That's why he's like, y'all not using this. Y'all in here doing the concrete. I'm outside exercising faith so that we all can get this. And everything getting paid in here. You see what I'm saying? Because God increasing him because of his faith, right? And then he's able to increase the others because of their faith in him to get him the money.
Even if you're concrete.
Yeah, they're concrete. They still have faith in the individual, though. They're like, the boss is going to pay me at the end of the week.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that. Interesting.
Faith is the currency of the saints. That's where you can be spiritually broke, and you can have a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Right. It's so weird too. It's strange too because in the movie Star Wars, there's the Force, and whoever has as much Force is the strongest Jedi. And then, Christ said, whoever has the face of a mustard seed can move a mountain.
There's still the next part there of the etymology. You want to read it? All right, continuing on with the etymology now of office. The Latin word was contracted from officium, literally work doing. Also, quote, power, might, abundance, means. Related to opus, which is work, from pi root op, to work, produce in abundance, plus combining from facere, to make, to do, to set, put, of ecclesiastical positions from late 14th century as official employment, also ecclesiastical service or mass. And it says the prescribed order and forms of church services, meaning building or room for conducting businesses, is from late 14th century, meaning a government or civil department is from mid 15th century. And office hours, quote, hours of work in an office, end quote, is attested from 1841. And also there's Middle English had office of life as in state of being alive, which is late 14th century.
And give us firm. The adjective.
This is the etymology for firm, which is an adjective from late 14th century. Strong, steady of things, permanent, enduring of agreements, steadfast, steady of persons, sound, well-founded of arguments, strong, vigorous, healthy, sound, steadfast, loyal, faithful, from Latin firmus, strong, steadfast, enduring, stable, and then figuratively, constant, steadfast, trusty, faithful. And also to hold, firmly, support.
All right, so this is true faith. Don't let anybody fool you. Faith is something that is firm, set, just like an office. All right, the perfect office that everybody has, especially, is when you enter into the role of a parent. That office is forever, they say, all right? As long as the child's there, you got that office. You're set in that office. You didn't have it before. You know, it's not there. That's how we know it's an office, because it's a position created that you then take on. It's a role you take on, not a role you have naturally. All right? So it creates an office. That office is set and firm. All right? You didn't have to be in that office all the time. So if you look at a parent, they're like, yeah, a parent doesn't get no days off, no nothing. All right? You got to stay firm in that. You stay with that child, being that child's parent for the whole duration. There's no separation, right? Literally, by law of nature, there's no separation, all right? You can separate in your mind and through your words, right? But your DNA is not separated, okay? That's showing that. All right, so there's a firmness the individual has to have, a steadfastness, enduring, all right? If you're not enduring in the things of Christ, right? And we're going back, if the person's not constantly making sure that they're giving their dues, getting into the collection of the saints, right? Constantly making sure that they're in attendance, right? Constantly making sure that they're praying day to day, doing all these things is a constant, all right? And even the scripture says, he that endureth to the end. You got to have faith to the end. And then once again, faith is not, and this is what it is, not wavering faith. It's not wavering. Or sometimes I had it, sometimes I did it, this month I didn't do it. This is we have to understand that this is faith. This fits here. Firmness. Constant. All right? When it lacks, things it's missing, it's not faith no more. Because we're seeing that faith is a steadfastness. Faith is loyalty. What is loyalty? Loyalty is, that same firmness. Doesn't matter what, I'm going to be there for the individual, right? I'm going to be there loyal.
A good example is like sports when it comes to like their fans. And even though the team might be a losing team, like I seen one, that not to go off topic because it's all related, but there was a Sacramento Kings fan, and right now they're very bad, but the fan was angry at the players because how they were playing, and he's a season ticket holder where clearly he spent X amount of money. So even though the team's been losing for many years, he still has faith in them and he wants to see them do good, so much so that he's spending thousands of dollars because he's sitting right near courtside. Mm-hmm. So even though it's garbage, they're still showing up, regardless of if the team's not doing good or not.
And that just goes back again into the relationship, right, with partners. Right, and especially on the man, we could just put it with the man. The woman sees the man. We're in a society right now where they're on, I want to choose my man based not on faith. They want to see the concreteness. They want to see he has these things particular, but they say there's not high reward in that. Not even in investing, there's high reward when you see all the stuff there. There's not high reward when you see everything. So usually when they pick that individual, is it high reward? Usually no. They're like, it came with all of this stuff and da-da-da-da. I mean, the reward is they got some of the stuff and to use the stuff, but the reward really is to have a good man in your life for steadfastness, eternity.
And they can build up and work their way.
Yeah, you can work up your way.
If you're at that, they're just almost like a stock, or if the individual has something already, they most likely will have more options too as well. It's the same with a stock. If a stock is high, like, you can buy it, but how much you're going to put in is going to be limited in comparison to when it was down at its low. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the thing is, too, as well, even in a relationship, to correlate with that, if they don't have that, you're going to have to put in more effort and have more faith that it can get to that.
Yeah, he get to that. And God will reward it, because now he's like, this relationship is totally being worked on faith Why would I not now increase this whole relationship now? Let's increase the whole relationship because they all working in faith and they included God with it too.
As the foundation.
As the foundation, he's going to increase that now. All right. So we're at page 17.
And this is the etymology of staff. As Old English, quote, walking stick, strong pole used for carrying, rod used as a weapon, pastoral staff. Also, it is considered an element. Also, a pillar, a foundation, post, stem to support, placed firmly on, fastened. Also could mean an idol. Also a staff, a pillar. It supports, quote, to tie around, encircle, wreath. Also grapevine, bunch of grapes. Also post and pillar as well.
All right, so staff. Power is in the staff. We're going to go to this. Power is in the staff. All right, staff is support. All right, it's a post. So all this stuff is position, post, office, all of that. Staff now. Now the staff, you can be one staff. Right now when they're saying staff, it's a staff. Right, and no company is nothing without staff because that's the power of the company. All right, that's what's holding it up. All right, that's what's securing it. That's what's supporting it. All right, so staff. All right, power is in the staff, and we see that staff brings support. Staff is there for support, whether the person's getting older or whatever. It's to help, right? And we can see, most importantly, they help with your walk in faith.
So you're the staff of the Most High, basically, and then
Correct. You're the staff of the Most High.
when he says, "My rod and staff comfort," it's the church that sends comfort.
Correct. And by the person already being in faith, by you already having faith in Christ, you already set in the office. You're in the office because you believe, which means you already have work that you got to do as a believer. All right, we're at James 2:19.
Thou believest that there is one God. You do well. The devils also believe and tremble.
So just once again, all right, thou believest there is one God, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. All right, so believing is just one duty of the office. All right. Once again, you can create the office. The office is there. The devils, they don't go to the office. They don't do work in the office. They know the office is there. All right. So they believe, but they don't do the work. So it's more than just believing. Again, because you could have an office, that's fine. Do you work in the office? Clearly, they know they have an office, or they have belief, but they don't do no work in there. All right.
Some people get to stay home.
Yeah. All right. They have office at home.
Home office.
Home office. Man. All right. So we're seeing office, steadfast. All right. So believing, because we've seen office and faith is one, but we're seeing you can't have office. Office and work are one. They're not doing no works. They believe, so they're in office. They have office. Right? But they have no works in office. You know what I'm saying? No works in office. That's the devils. All right? Idleness of hands. So for us, it's like, all right, you believe, okay, that means you have a position. Now God's asking you, when do you do this position? When do you do the good? Because we know that these demons, they don't do the good. They don't expand the faith at all. All right, so let's go again into belief.
So the definition for believe, it's Greek word G4100, which is pistio, and it's from G4102, to have faith in, upon, or with respect to a person or thing, that is, credit, by implication to entrust, especially one's spiritual well-being, to Christ. Believe, believer, commit to trust, put trust with.
All right, and
Put in trust with.
And this goes back again to why people are like, how come faithful without works is, why they're so confused with that? Because it's all right, you have an office, but you have to work in the office. It's like, okay, you have the office now, that's the belief. But it's like you had the office, you never went to work. All right, there's things you have to do as a belief. So once again, the person's like, I believe in Christ and the gospel. All right, Christ, like, that's fine, you created the office. But did you go to church? So how can you believe and you never went into the office? How you believe you never went to the church? They're saying that you can believe from home. We're seeing that's not normal in the world. Even work from home is not normal.
I listen here. When Christ come, I don't believe there's gonna be no internet still. That's all I'm saying. I don't think they're gonna be linking up online and doing it. When he's here back in there, that's done. I don't believe that's gonna be like how you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, it ain't gonna be nothing like that.
Yeah, we're gonna be back to outside and this.
I
Our
suppose
mind
in
is the
beginning,
internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
As
gonna
in
be
the days
linking
of
in our
Noah.
mind. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not gonna be none of that there. So there's no linking online. You can't physically make contact with somebody that's on a screen. You know.
Yeah, because even like, sorry, but even Black Panther, they have vibranium, and it's like their substance, it's their source, and you know, faith is like a vibration as well. It is, it's a frequency. And so,
Yeah, because it's more of a frequency because you can't see it. It's not, all right? Well, it can be because it depends on what it is. Because it's evidentiary things, but it is a frequency.
and finally get to the point where Christ is there, the faith is just turned up. It's not even faith anymore. It's
All right, so this once again, that faith, all right, to have faith, pistio? What did you
Something
say?
like that.
Pistio.
Yeah, pistio, you-o. Pistio.
All right, that is credit by implication to entrust. All right, believe, commit to trust, put in trust. They don't really believe. All right, they believe, but they don't work. All right, they don't do the works in it. So you don't want to be like the devil. All right, because once again, thou believest there is one God, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. All right, the difference is they're not in office. We are going to be in office doing the work, not just saying, oh, I believe, and have the office, but no works with it. All right, and we're at James 2:14.
This is the book of James chapter 2, starting at the 14th verse. What does it profit, my brethren, though a man say he have faith and have not works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding you give them not those things which are needful to the body, what doth it profit? Even so faith, if it hath not works, is dead being alone.
Right, and it's why is it saying that? Because you're telling the person, hey, it's gonna be all right. You're creating belief now. You created an office, all right. At least you should be putting the first works inside of the office, which is why we have what do they have when they bring to the home when someone move in the neighborhood? What's it called again?
Home warming?
Yeah, home warming. Yes.
Housewarming.
Housewarming. Yes, housewarming. Yes. So housewarming, the person's there, or a couple just got married. Like what you're saying is, by showing faith, you're saying, all right, they're gonna have faith. We believe it's gonna be successful, but here is the first part of that, the works of that. The office is created, which is we believe it's gonna happen. Here is the first works, and all the people that are basically being the first donors of that first works in their relationship to say, hey, we're gonna see it off to its success. All right. Yes, we believe it's going to be successful, but we're adding in this works to say that, hey, we were part of the starting up to it being successful.
Early investor.
An early investor. All right. And once again, to the person, you're like, all right, everything's going to be okay. No, you're like, all right, it starts from here, this dollar right here. From that dollar, you'll add on more to that dollar. So not only with the belief you're seeing, because what you're noticing is that, hey, when you create a belief, there's an office there. Now there's works has to be done. You're just saying, all right, as a show of respect, I'm doing the first work there. I'm putting, all right, the place is open, you're bringing a picture so you can put up on it. That's all it is. It's nothing major, but it's a thing of honor to say, all right, since we created this office of belief, I'll do a one work here, right? To show you more works will be done in here. More things will be coming in here, right? And that's God saying, all right, now you're completing that faith with the works. And now, because what are you doing? You're trying to make the person believe, and the person has to believe by first seeing it too, right? So you're creating it, and then you're adding to it, and then you're able to make the next person see the physical thing, so then they can see it add up to it, and you're strengthening belief with that, right? But for you just to say that because you believe in the Most High, and you're like, all right, the Most High is going to bless you next week, it's going to be fine, but you didn't say, all right, here's the $50 here right now to start to that next week, right? That's what will complete the faith. All right, so we're at works etymology, Or works definition, sorry.
The Strong's definition for works, this is G2041. Ergon, a primary but obsolete word to work, toil, as an effort or occupation, by implication, an act, deed, doing, labor, work. And the Thayer definition is 1, business, employment, that which anyone is occupied. 1A, that which one undertakes to do, enterprise, undertaking. 2, any product, whatever, anything accomplished by hand, art, industry, or mind. 3, an act, deed, thing done. The idea of working is emphasized in opposition to that which is less than work. And yeah, is there any more?
All right. So once again, they're saying an office without works is dead. How can you have an office and no work in the office? All right. So once again, once you create all right, God's going to have you next week. You create an office, right? The person don't have belief in it. You don't know if they have full belief. So you're saying, all right, I will do the first works in the office. Here is the city in there, right? You're doing the first works in the office. Because we're seeing an office, that's the belief, that's when it's created, is nothing without works or acts or deeds done inside of the office, which is why I'm saying, hey, when someone has a housewarming and thing, this is what they're saying. Office has been created because they're like, all right, you're going to live good here. You're going to be successful here. Office is created. Works has to be done. So they're representing that by bringing here's the first donations to the office. Here's the first works to that. All right. And they're giving their concrete thing to show that they have faith that it's going to succeed as well.
And this kind of go back to the example with the housewarming part there. And you could use the marriage too as well, where the housewarming, they always depict somebody bringing something for the house, not money, because you already did that. So it's just like how they call it a house, but then the other word is a home, right? So bringing some love that they've made something prepared out of love now to give to them so they could enjoy it with their family and build and bond. Yeah. In comparison to with the relationship one where a married couple, now you're giving them financial money because you don't know their situation, but to just help them to live together and purchase something or have a couple of months or whatever it is for rent or car payments or whatnot.
Yes, yes. All right, so we're going into the next part. All right, we're almost done here. All right, we're going into, all right, support. All right, we're going into support. We're at page 20 in the document. We are going into what is support for. So we've seen that faith and support go together. All right. There's a science understanding of support force. And we've seen that too, because when we seen inside of, when we seen Moses' hand being held up, right, by Aaron and her, that's support force. That's the perfect example of support force that the Most High was trying to show. All right, now we're going to learn a little of just what support force is. All right, let's go.
All right, the definition of force that completely balances the weight of an object at rest.
All right, so what is support force? It's a force that completely balances the weight of an object at rest. So it's a force that allows an object to rest at a place. Now, if we're just going back to Moses, what are they doing? They're holding his hand up so his hand could rest at this place right here, showing support, right? When his hand went down, right, they're losing the battle. When the hand was supported, right, they were winning the battle against the Amalekites. All right, so that's support force. All right, what's on this table right now? That's support force. All right, we're going to understand how it gets that support and force. All right, let's go.
All right, so 2.3 support forces. For an object at rest on a horizontal surface, the support force must equal the object's weight. What forces act on a book lying at rest on a table? One is the force due to gravity, the weight of the book. There must be another force acting on it to produce a net force of 0, an upward force opposite to the force of gravity. The upward force that balances the weight of an object on a surface is called the support force. A support force is often called the normal force.
All right, so the support force is the support that's on the ground below. So if you want to look at it, if God is sending a thought or whatever, we would be the support force, right? Whatever God wants to establish on here and he sends down, we have to support it. or else it's just going to fall straight to the ground. All right? We have to support it. Do it as much energy he sent down it with. We have to support it with the same or more in order for it to come and be at a rest position. All right? So that thing, for it to rest, for the book to rest on this table, the table has to weigh the same as the book or more than the book. So that's just showing us whatever God sends down, we actually have to do more than what he's sending down. Whatever power, he can't send down as much support, right? Because we're the ones, for it to be stationed and steady here, we got to do most of the support in order for it to be at rest here, right? Once again, in order for, it's the same thing as business. In order for the business to continue going, it's going to at least need the same amount of support that the business is putting in, the same amount they're going to need from the people buying and stuff, which at least it could at least pay off its bills and things of that nature. Now the support force is the people, so the owner's coming with the thought, yeah, the people could support it even more than what he was putting in there, and the thing is running now, right? But it can't run if the support force or the people is not there, and he's just the one, you're putting everything into your business, but it's not getting supported by the lower people,
Well, yeah.
the customers.
Well, yeah.
Almost reminds you of a war too, when they drop off the stuff that needs to be there to fight the war and all that stuff as well. It's not like, everything there to win the war, but then in the last they call in for air support, and that kind of represents Christ too, right? Getting that support when the war is just about to be done, and it's a spiritual war, then you'll get that fullness.
Okay, see, air support, they're using that because they're like, all right, that's when now more support's coming from the ground and up because they want to destroy what's on the ground. All right, so I can see it in that nature. All right, but once again, support force is the normal force, all right? And the support force is the support that's on the ground, on the lower end, all right? The thing that's coming down needs to be supported by the support force. The support force needs to put forth more power than what's coming down. It needs to at least be the same or more in order to cancel it, in order to make that thing be at rest.
That's pretty much how you'll have like your corporate office, and they're getting the information and lining things up so it can go into the retail stores or whatever that's down there. And clearly they're going to need more like manpower because they're going to be dealing with a lot more people and customers. And if they're not there, clearly things will fall apart.
Yeah, things will fall apart. So it doesn't matter how much support the management's doing. If they don't have those people down there handling all of that, it's going to go to naught.
Yeah.
Right, so just understanding the same thing here, all right? The biggest thing about supporting God in the ministry. So it's like, all right, God's saying he's doing this works out here. You have to support it in the same way. You have to put forth that same energy to make this thing go steady. If you're not putting forth that energy, it's going to start to, you see when something's on thing and it's going to start to fall down. You're like, oh, it's about to weigh down. It's about to break down, right? The weight is weighing it down. Right, because it's not being supported. All right, continue for us. I guess once again, so in the diagram here, the table pushes up on the book with as much force as the downward weight of the book, and that's why the book is steady sitting there, because it's being supported. Right, it has enough support coming from the bottom as it's bringing on down.
Okay. A support force is often called the normal force. The upward support force is positive and the downward weight is negative. The two forces add mathematically to zero. Another way to say the net force on the book is zero is F equals 0. The book lying on the table compresses atoms in the table and they squeeze upward on the book. The compressed atoms produce the support force.
All right, so this once again, the support force is often called the normal force. The upward support force is positive. All right, so the upward support force is positive. The downward support force is negative. Two forces add mathematically to 0. All right, so the two forces, they add mathematically to 0. The book lying on the table compresses atoms in the table and they squeeze upward the book. All right, the compressed atoms produce the support force. All right, so the book lying on the table compresses the atoms in the table. All right, so the atoms in this table become compressed. Right, they squeeze upward the book. All right, and the compressed atoms produce the support force. So this is the compressed atoms that's producing the support force for the book right
And even
now.
when you think about it, just if there's excess weight and it's going into the compression, this is why something will start to bow or to bend when there's excess weight on it, and it could possibly get to the point where it'll just break.
All right, so I'm saying all of that to once again know that people, whatever, so this is going again, whatever the head is, whatever the leadership, whatever the thing, if it's not being supported as the same from on the bottom, we don't have something steady and set here. All right, it needs to be supported. And the people have to understand that their support is greatly needed as much as the headship support. Right, and that's how something is now set. All right, when a business is set, this is set. These two operating forces. So this is the owner. Owner has all the ideas. He's putting all the stuff into the company. Yes, he's putting that down, but it has to be received from the support force. Who's the support force? That's going to be his staff, because first it has to be the staff to help to get it through. And then it's the people, the customers, ultimately is the support force. If they're not there supporting as much as he's putting into it, the company is going to crumble.
Just speaking as Solomon describes as customer feedback helps to build the support of the business.
Yes, yes. All right, so customer feedback, getting customer feedback, right? Fixing the things.
Sorry, finish what you're saying.
No.
Oh, just going into, feedback also when it comes to the staff. Because the staff is also support. So if
Yeah.
you have a bad staff, which is bad support, your customers can give feedback in regards to that in case you need to change that particular support.
Because they're saying they're not supporting because this support that you have in there is not good enough. So then that support, which is the real support, is the customer.
Yep.
Without them, it's gone. There's nothing set in stone here.
Because when a company is losing money now, what do they start doing? They start cutting their support.
Yeah, they start coming.
Or they
the
start
staff.
cutting the staff.
Yeah, the staff is the first one to go because they're like, hey. Yeah. So we're seeing it here. All right. So we're at Romans 5:1.
Therefore, being justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ, by whom also we have access by faith into this grace, wherein we stand and rejoice in hope of the glory of God. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope. And hope maketh not ashamed, because the love of God is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Ghost, which is given unto us.
All right, and just going once again, that support, all right, is a part of faith. It is a part of faith, all right, by whom we have access by this faith into grace. All right, we have access by faith into grace, wherein we stand and rejoice in the hope and glory of God. All right. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulations worketh patience. So once again, at the beginning of this faith thing, when people are supporting, the support is coming first with a faith. All right. Supporting. When you support, the thing will go through tribulation. And this is with every company. You at the beginning, it's not us all good. It's go through tribulations. All right. But that tribulations and the person staying with it, it worked patience. All right. And from patience, now you experience. Because you're like, no, you just have to wait and be thinking, I've been here before. You're experienced now. Experience now. Hope. Hope is, I've been here. I know that if I do this and that, it will get to that point because I experienced and I've been there before. And hope maketh not ashamed. So now that you hope, because the hope now, you went through the whole faith thing, the experience, the patience. That hope is, if you do all those things there, that this will be there. And that's what that hope is. But you can't see it there. You're like, if I just get these things there, they'll be there. That's hope. All right? And because the love of God is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Spirit, which is given into us. And just once again, in this world, let me show you how big it is that this world is blocking off you being able to support something before it turns into something else. All right. If you want to invest, if you hear a company's coming out right now, and you know it's going to make money right now, you can't support it right now. Because in order to support it right now, you need to be a accredited investor. All right. So you can't even just support a company out there. They blocked that because that's the power. We just heard that faith is the power onto salvation. Now in this world, it's the power onto money. You don't have an access or opportunity to invest in any good company you see coming out first. Why? Because you need to be an accredited investor. What does accredited investor mean? That means to support a company. A company's coming out and they saying they need support first from people outside. In order to support them, you need to have $1 million in assets. All right? And I believe you have to do something for 2 years or whatever. But you have to have $1 million in asset before you can even think of saying you're going to buy stocks in the next company to help them at the come up, even if you know for sure that company's going to make money.
Yeah, there's even other angles too as well. I know like Uber, and it was just a closed amount of people that was aware of the business idea because it wasn't put out there, because it wasn't a company that was out there on the markets or anything. But I remember with like Kevin Hart, I remember he spoke about that he had an opportunity to invest in Uber at an early age or early stages of the company, and he didn't. And it wasn't even asking for a lot of money like that. But what that could have turned into, because clearly look how Uber is right now, it was an opportunity that was lost. So even for opportunities that if you're not an accredited investor, you have to have insight or to be on the inside, which majority of the world isn't. So they're going to miss out on that. And for the ones that are, or that have in the past, like the early 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, where you have Amazon, you have Facebook, you have Microsoft, even going into Uber, those early investors, they're relaxing, chilling on a beach somewhere.
It's the power of faith in this world. The people who are concrete don't see that faith has been securing people in this world the whole time. And that they know faith secures you so much that they've actually put a block there for the little person that they can't exercise theirs. If you want to buy the Uber and you knew it was coming out, it's going to turn you to a millionaire, you couldn't go unless you already have $1 million in the bank, could show them that to even invest any amount in that company.
There was a man, he invested, I think it was like $10,000, not when Tesla, they just started coming out not too long or whatever at that time. And he said the stock didn't move for over 5, 6, 7 years, but by the time it came to around 2020, because with what happened with the pandemic and the whole green narrative was pushing, he saw his portfolio go past $1 million based off of the 10 that he did invest initially into it. But for a long period of time, nothing was happening with it.
Okay, someone says something.
So we have here, Priest Hakeem says, crazy how the accredited investor requirement is somewhat of a gatekeep mechanism. Crypto is opposite though.
Yes, going back to crypto, yeah.
No, but even with that there, because it's an unregulated market, just going back into it, if you knew without a shadow of a doubt, you can put in money and get money out the same day or tomorrow or instantly, you're going to do it because a lot of people are driven by greed, and the society that we're in is basically microwave society. You don't want it now, you want it right now. So a lot of people get caught in scams and they try to do that thinking that they're going to get money, when in actuality they just get rug pulled and they lose all of their money, which is unfortunate. But this is the thing when it comes to people and investing their money. They want it quick. It's anytime it's something about getting rich quick, they'll call it a scheme, because most of the time it is a scheme. A lot of people are getting ripped off and robbed and scammed. Where scamming's at an all-time high right now. So as much as there's no regulation that's in that area, we are going towards that age, which we are in a digital age. So we're in the 4th Industrial Revolution. Everything will be digitized. So regulation is going into that market. It's just not in there completely. So there isn't no gatekeeping yet. But gatekeeping isn't necessarily something that's bad per se. It is to protect people because, like the scriptures say, a fool and his money is soon departed. All right, so people, they don't do their due diligence. They heard it from somebody. They see a proper website and they think, oh, it looks legit. And then they put into it. Next thing, they're able to put out a little bit of money. But now when they want to put out a lump sum, there's a problem. They shut down. This happens all the time. So be very wary in that regards.
Right, and even if that happens to a person, they now have the experience of that and they'll be prepared for the next time. As long as they keep exercising that faith, faith is as long as you're using faith, this is what God likes. This is why the investors, they're the ones making the money. People are living, there's a whole faith society here. That's what we're seeing, because faith is where God is appeased, and that's what increases the most when you're using faith. That's why they love that market, because they're like, this is where I'm gonna get my money. I'm not gonna get my money by knowing for sure concrete and going to work. They figured that out of the world. They figured this world works by faith.
Well,
Me believing and supporting ahead of time fully. And me doing that, and it works so much so that they put $1 million in front of it before you can do it yourself.
okay, you want security? You could go get your high interest savings account where you get what? How much percent on that?
nothing.
1%, 2%? Good luck with that. That's not going to do
Because
anything.
they're like, you know what you're going to get, and you're
It's
not
secure.
making no risk, no
Yeah.
faith, right? So we're seeing no faith, no money, no increase, God not happy, world not happy. You know what I'm saying?
Eventually, the people, too, they're not
Yeah.
happy either. But,
You use faith on the other side, increase. All right, because now you're supporting a company early, you're supporting this, you're supporting that. And once again, it's not for sure faith every time something gonna happen. You're just putting in your faith. That's what faith is. It didn't work this time, all right, the next time. That's hope now. I'm gonna hope for the next time.
And even when it comes to that, too, you still have to do your due diligence. Just like with the scriptures, you have to seek out the Lord, go through the books, do your studying, too. The same thing if you're going to put, because time, clearly, how much we have, it's not like we can check an account to see how much time we have here. Right, so you got to be even more serious when it comes to your time and be a good steward of your time, as well as also the money that you do have. But just like when it comes to seeking out the things of the Lord, to make sure where you can put your time, because you're gonna have to spend regardless. When it comes to the Lord, you're gonna have to spend. What are you gonna have to spend? You're gonna have to spend your time and do it, and go into it. And by you doing that, you can increase your faith/confidence in the Lord to move forward. Because faith without works is dead. And likewise, doing your due diligence for where you're going to put your investments, you can apply the same principles and put it into whatever company that you see out there that's fit for you.
No, absolutely right. All right, and just going again that, hey, just so warning again that, hey, the crypto market, they don't have that there. This is why it's being vilified by all of this, because you just have to be smart, because like we said, there are traps out there. But if you're invested in companies that people well known, right, and now you're not going into something, you're not trying to be too much faith and be like, oh, I'm trying to get the company that's the lowest in this, but you're using, all right, this is what everyone's invested in. I'm here early, and you invest in it. Let me do it. Because once again, we're seeing that this is the first time that there's no $1 million in front of the poor man that makes him can't invest in a company early to get some of the increases that they would get for that faith. All right, it's the first time, or else they're gonna have to, for you to do it in the regular world and do the other ones, you're gonna have to get $1 million before you can invest early in the company.
That's what it is.
Right, that's before it shoots up and all of that stuff now.
Even to just kind of go back into the whole Bitcoin thing, is like just a couple years back, even going 10 years back, it was like $300 or so, $200. Right now, your average individual can't buy one whole Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is like, what, 90,000 US dollars. So you could convert that to Canadian. That's a lot of money right now.
And all those Bitcoin people, those are all believers. So they had the time there, they believed, they put their faith in it, they supported it. There's understanding support. And once again, its importance in the kingdom, its importance in everyday life, its importance, right, with tithing, right, the ministry of the saints, all right, the collection of the saints, all right. We're showing that you need to support, and that in this world right now, the exercising of faith with support is being guarded, because they know there's a power when you're exercising faith. That's when you get increased more. It's a limitation when you're concrete, when you know your pay, when you know your hours you're going to work, when you know those things. The other people, they're increasing because they're exercising faith. There's a faith system here that's investments and all of that that's set up. Now, the poor person who needs that, they need $1 million for they can even get into that and get into there
And
early.
that's why they say the rich get richer, and I don't want to say the poor. I guess you could say the poor stay poor. But yeah, it's easier to multiply once you have an X amount or a good amount into it in comparison to the little bit that you're gonna put in, because yeah, it's just how it goes.
All right. So we have Psalms 37 and 25.
So this is the book of Psalms, chapter 37, verse 25. I have been young and now I'm old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread.
All right. So just once again, God always supports. So if you are questioning, God has endless faith. His faith is steadfast. He supports. All right. You support him, he support you. He's never forsaken the righteous. nor have they ever been see begging bread. They've never been outside as a poor person begging anybody if they're following the Most High and putting their faith in him. He's never allowed that to happen. Right?
When you say following him, you gotta. There's also that thing about in truth, right? Because some people say that they're
They're
right?
following.
So if you see somebody who says that they're Christian and they're doing all and or whatever it may be and they're suffering, then you have to say, well, hold on.
Yeah, what's going on? Something's off with you, not with him.
Right.
Yeah.
So then while you're saying it, that has to be added to it because
No.
he did say that, didn't he?
Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You know how many Christians are in hell right now? Because they thought they were doing right, but that's why the scripture says a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the ways are the ways of death. We have the book there. And if they would have taken the time to go through the book and to examine themselves, they would have seen what they were doing wrong, or listen to their teachers or their elders.
Yeah. Leaning on their own understanding.
Yeah.
All right, so we're at Deuteronomy 32:4.
He is the rock. His work is perfect, for all his ways are judgment, a God of truth and without iniquity, just and right is he.
All right, so he is a rock. His work is perfect, for all his ways are judgment, a God of truth without iniquity, just and right he is. So he's a rock. We know rock is the biggest support in this earth. That's what they're using, rock of support. All right, he is a rock. All right. So the Most High is a rock of support. If you want to go outside and you're looking for something to sit down on, and you see a big rock, oh, you found your seat. You found the biggest support right now. You're like, oh, perfect. Smooth rock too, sitting right here on the rock.
Yeah, one winter story. I used to live in 2999. Behind me, behind the building, there's a rock. All right. It's not really big, but it's a solid rock. And one evening, wintertime, I'm going to head to the mall, so I'm going on the back way. When I get there, I see my mom stuck at the rock. She went up. It was snowing and it was ice, and she thought she could make it up, and she got to the rock, and that's where she was. If I didn't come, she would have been stuck there.
Was she behind the wheel, walking? What was?
No, she was walking. She took the 108 bus, and at that time she wasn't driving. So, and she's walking home. She was working downtown in Stock Exchange, and she decided she's gonna go up the hill, in heels and whatever, and it's ice. She made it up to the rock, and she was holding on for dear life. It's good to hold on to the rock.
There we go, huddle.
Yeah, the rock. This is once again, Christ is the rock of support. He is the rock. His work is perfect. All his ways are judgment. All right, a God of truth, without iniquity, just and right he is.
See what your priest Akib said. So true. I've been homeless a few times, but never was on the street begging for bread.
Yeah, correct. You gonna be thing or have to do this, but you wasn't like, oh, I need. Yeah, God gonna make sure you got. All right, but He does bring us through trial, tribulation, and yeah, will bring us to that last end to test us. All right, and so much so because who was the story too who got fed with the ravens?
That was Elijah.
All right, so this once again where he's stuck, he's this. God gonna send something. He's like, the righteous is over there, animal something gonna send him something. All right, and that's the last of faith because he's there. Who can help him? He has to have the faith, and at the last second, boom! Here comes a raven dropping him like.
Even the angel too as well
Yeah.
fed him. Yeah.
All right, it's just you to believe that, hey, God, this will not happen because I'm dealing with God. All right. So we're at Deuteronomy 32:15.
But Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked. Thou art waxen fat, thou art grown thick, thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook God which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation.
So now we see why God has to start you at the lowly part, because now he's like, all right, you're gone. Jeshurun, which is Israel, they waxed fat. They kicked. Thou art waxen fat. You are grown thick. You are covered with fatness. He's like, yo, I'm fat. Yo, and he's talking about the riches. And they're going again that when you have the riches, the more riches you have, the less faith you're going to have. You know what I'm saying? You're like, well, I need all of that.
I always go back to a story here where I saw one of the neighbors there. I remember he was telling me he was working out of town or in another province, and he heard one of his coworkers on the phone, and he was talking to the girlfriend, and he's like, "Why you going to church? Don't I provide you everything you need?" So it's just to show you that when people have it, they feel that they're God and they don't need God. They are their own God.
Yeah, they're like, everything's good, everything's this and that. Right?
But God is a spirit.
That.
Yeah. They're like, hey,
So
they're like,
that's the whole point there. They can't see the spirit.
yeah.
So they're like, I have it already. I don't need that.
Yeah, and most of them, when they're looking at that, they're like, yo, this mentality comes from these people who are broke. They're like, the rich people, they ain't thinking, oh, God, this and that. We're dealing with the reality of stuff where we're rich. While you dealing with the God and someone going to save you. And they're like, I saved myself. I made my own Fortune 500 company. So, same thing with Israel. Israel started to come in, they wax fat. So when we were a people, we wax fat. We were wax fat. We had everything we needed. We wax fat. We grow thick as a nation. We were covered in fatness as a nation. But we forsook God and esteemed the rock of salvation lightly. All right? So we weren't supporting no more. We weren't supporting him, even though he supported us so much that we gotten fattened, and then we stopped showing the support.
Yeah, it's kind of going back into the homeless thing. You don't really see, at least to my knowledge, or I haven't seen, where somebody is like poor, really like begging, and they're fat. Like, how are you maintaining that fluffy or fatness? You have to eat, right? So this is another thing that just crossed my mind there just now.
All right, we're at Deuteronomy 32 and 30. All right, we're almost done.
How should one chase 1,000 and two? No, let me read that again. Sorry. How should one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight, except their rock had sold them, and the Lord had shut them up? For their rock is not as our rock, even our enemies themselves being judges.
All right, so how should one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight, except the rock had sold them and the Lord had shut them up? All right, so he's showing you, hey, the people that used to be able to chase 1,000, put two, is like, how y'all who was doing that, how are y'all being sold? Or how y'all, and except the rock had sold y'all. The rock allowed that to happen, and the Lord shut them up. Right, for their rock is not as our rock, even our enemies themselves being judges. So they're saying whoever their support is not like our support. So how did that support go away? It went away because they stopped supporting God. If you don't support God, God won't support you. That's what comes back. People are like, oh, how are we so strong and powerful and we got taken over by the folks and colonized and this and that? Yeah, it's a miracle. It is, because you didn't support the rock. The rock didn't support you, and no matter how weak that nation looked, you was going to get taken down because you lost the rock of your support. And then when we are trying, and just go back into history, every single time the Negro since has tried to get himself back up steady, he's never brought the rock of support with him. So in the Caribbean nations, they've never acknowledged their faith as Christian. They have Christian churches there, which is made and brought there, but as a nation, they have never acknowledged themselves as a nation of Christians.
Well, is it a surprise why all of them are third world country?
Yeah, because they're not supporting, he's like, I'm not going to support this down here. All right?
Yeah, even you notice people too, like a lot of people that used to be making money before COVID and stuff like that, they cannot make it like how they used to. Yeah, they cannot.
Yeah. All right, so at rock definition.
This is the rock definition of rock. Hebrew word H6697. Properly a cliff or sharp rock, as compressed, generally a rock or boulder, figuratively a refuge, also an edge, as precipitous, edge, mighty, God one, rock, sharp, stone, strength, strong. And here is this is H also going into H6696. To cramp, that is confined in many applications, literally and figuratively, formative or hostile, adversary, assault, beset, besiege, bind up, cast, distress, fashion, fortify, enclose, lay siege, put up in bags.
All right, so the rock, the boulder, all right, the refuge. He is our refuge, our safety, all right, our security. That security was gone, all right, when we waxed fat and left him. All right, so that's how we are able to get taken down by enemies. We left God. All right, go to rock etymology.
It's the etymology for rock. It's the first noun. A stone, mass of mineral matter. Stone as a substance, large rocky formation, rocky height or outcrop. Also stone, rock, or obelisks. And also it is from Latin rocca, word of uncertain origin. Also rocks.
All right, so rocks, stone as substance. All right. All right, so it's a rock, a stone rock, a obelisk. A stone rock, an obelisk. All right. And we're just going to go to 2 Samuel 2:2.
For who is God save the Lord? And who is a rock save our God? God is my strength and power. He maketh my way perfect. He maketh my feet like hinds feet, and setteth me up upon my high places.
All right. He setteth me up upon my high places. So once again, who is God except the Lord? All right. Who is a rock except our God? All right. Who is the support except our God? God is the power and the strength. He maketh a way perfect. All right. And once again, he said, he maketh my feet like hinds feet, like the deer's feet, and setteth him up on the high places. So because he's dealing with God, he knows God is a support. He's supporting God. God is empowering him. God then supports you by putting you up on a high place. A high place is a level of support. All right, and here we see that footstool. He's able to sit on that. Now I can understand, okay, why people want to be watch TV and have the thing under their foot. I've never really been a person like that, but now I'm like, you know what? I should have my thing on these stools, and yeah, I should be raised up in a higher. I should have an appreciation for that.
Even something a little bit of a side, but it's still support when somebody is trying to help you. Right? Don't reject help from people.
Don't reject help from
Because the
people.
Most High is in control of all souls. So if somebody's trying to help you, don't reject the help. Even if you don't need the help, still, if there's some way that they can help you, allow them to still give you the help. Yeah.
You know, I've seen that too, because once again, I'm vegetarian. People used to be like, oh, you want this meat or thing? I'd be like, nah. And I was in the office, I was in my hallway one day. I'm like, you know what? I'm so just thinking about me. I'm like, my mom used to be all of that. I'm like, I went back, and from there, I'm like, yeah, don't stop what the person's doing because I'm just thinking about me. Nah, I don't do that. I'm like, all right. I don't need to tell them I don't, and I don't need to put myself in it. Just take it. I know who to give it to, and boom, boom, that's it. And they complete their works. Because once again, they have belief. They're trying to do some works in the office, and now I'm like, office is closed. They got to let me accept it. You did the works. I'll find someone to give it to, right? But allow them to do their works and to help.
It's kind of like blocking the blessings
Yeah,
that
you're
you're going to
blocking,
receive, and their blessings that they could receive.
Yeah, that they could have received from inside of there.
Helping, serving of the Lord.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because as much as I'm saying that, you have to catch yourself. Because I was in the store and the person was like, he overheard me speaking with the person. He's like, yo, I don't want to be a thing, but I overheard you saying this about this can. And he's like, it's over there. And I'm like, I ain't really need that. I'm like, you know what? I should have just said whatever. Yeah, thank you or whatever. You get what I'm saying? But it happens so fast. It's tests. It's faith. You know what I'm saying? And that moment, I'm like, damn, the guy even went out of his way and said, I'm sorry of hearing your conversation, and came in and butt in to offer me to where to find the thing. And I said, I really need it. Like, so now he's like, oh, shoot, I was really just being, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's really just being nosy now, because now he didn't even, so when I could have just helped the whole thing about it, we were speaking about something, you just heard it, but he wanted to do something good. Let me just take that, whatever.
Yeah, take the moment of goodness.
Yeah.
Because goodness is fleeting.
Now he might be like, we ain't gonna do it again, because now he's embarrassed because he did it, and the person even wanted the thing, and he was going out of his way. And he even said it before he did, like, I don't want to be a thing, but I heard you wanted this, but he wanted to support by showing me where the thing is at. All right, so we're at Romans 9:33.
As it is written, behold, I lay in Sion a stumbling block and rock of offense, and whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed.
All right, so once again, he's saying he's laid down a rock of offense, a stumbling block. So he's saying either this is going to be support for somebody, or someone gonna trip over it. All right. And either somebody gonna believe on it or they gonna try to walk over it and trip on it. Right. But if you believe on it, you're not gonna be believing on to shame. If you support Christ and the mission, you're not supporting it to shame. And God, once again, going back to Romans 1:19, that he makes everything, right, in the physical so you can see. So that's why I brought up the whole stock market, investing, all of that. These people know the power of supporting ahead of time, that they've put blockages so that the people who are poor can't support ahead of time, so that they can get out of their misery and poorness. So literally, we can't support and use our faith in this world properly unless we already exercise certain amounts, have $1 million. Now we can support certain businesses we know is going to be here before it hit the public. All right. Only rich people hear about all the businesses that are coming out first and get the opportunity to throw their money at it first to make the biggest increase. Like, this is not fair to the poor people. But once again, we can say that a lot of the poor people don't have faith. And that's why they're at where they're at.
Yeah, because not everybody that has wealth, they inherited it. They actually built from the ground up. And a lot of it had to do with them taking a chance or stepping out on faith to invest in certain companies.
Yeah. So it's all faith. We can look at it and be like, oh, this, that. They all using faith. Use your faith, starting at God. And then from God, he can now secure you in all these other ways. All right. Because he can either be the rock of support for you, or if you don't believe, he's now become a stumbling block for you. But he's going to be a rock for you. All right. So we can end it right there. Yeah, we'll end it right there.
All right.
Yeah, he can either be a rock of support for you, all right, or he going to be a stumbling block.
A rock of offense. Like.
All right. But he going to be a rock.
Yeah.
Not just a rock, but a rock.
Because it's a firm foundation.
Yes, he's a firm foundation. All right. So it's going to be treated like a rock. Either you're going to rock of support or stumbling if you don't believe. All right. So if you believe, then it's a rock of support. If you don't believe, then it's a stumbling block.
Just if the rock falls on that individual and crush them to powder.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds like the Simpsons episode where you got the rock of shame.
All right, so just going back again, how crucial support and faith is, and office and steadiness. We learned today that an office is firm and steady and stationary, and that an office needs work. And we're learning that faith is an office. And to complete that office, the faith will need works. You cannot have an office without works. Office and work go together. You cannot be a father and not do works of a father. Right? You cannot be the president and not do the works that the president needs to do for the country. All right? And we're seeing through COVID, it started this whole thing where people weren't going to the office. You have to be in the office. Right? Because then now we're dealing on the people, and they're like, you know what? At home, we don't believe that they're going to, because the office is work. We don't believe they're going to be working as much at home. Same thing to the children with school. All right, they're at school. They're not in the class, which is the office. They're not there. How much work they going to be doing at home? You know what I'm saying?
Ironically, I heard on the news that companies were finding that they were actually saving a lot of money because they didn't have to keep up with certain things in the office because some of the staff wasn't there. What I mean, so.
Yeah, but also to add to that, what was going on, because these larger corporations have deals with the banks. So a lot of these places are vacant and they have long-term leases. So it's like, you know what, you better get your employees back in there so we can have a good relationship and you could keep borrowing. So back to work mandate. But then you also have now too as well the hybrid, right? Where some days at home, some days at work. Yeah.
Right.
Wanna go to Philippines?
Yeah, Philippines.
Okay, this is the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things.
All right. Oh, shit. I keep forgetting to put that back.
Yeah, let me get the rest of it. just to finish off that Philippians chapter 4, finish here. Those things which you have both learned and received and heard and seen in me do, and the God of peace shall be with you.
All right. So once again, whatsoever things are honest. What's honest? Honest about faith. Faith, you're going to have. Faith is something you cannot see. That's the honest thing. And you're going to have to make a decision honestly. You're going to have to answer a question that you don't have the answers to. And that's what appeases God. When you don't have the answer, you never seen the answer, but you used your faith to say that's the answer and you got it right. Right? Don't be afraid of that. Don't be like Cain. All right, Abel got it right. Cain got it wrong. Cain then killed the person who got it right out of jealousy and envy. All right, there's nothing wrong with getting something wrong. All right, just get it correct. All right, whatsoever things are just. All right, there's a just that goes into supporting ahead of time. And the Most High rewards that. That's the only thing that pleases. Without that, it's impossible to please God. Whatsoever things are pure. This is a pureness of faith. So much so that, once again, believing in the word now is salvation. It's belief unto salvation. All right. Whatsoever things are lovely. When the support is being from the bottom and the top, supported fully, support force, which is from the ground, supporting what's being sent from above, then we have station. Then we have something set. Then we have a business, a company, a church, or whatever. Right? Then the support from the staff, the support from the people is essential for that continuing. So support from the clergy, support from the community out there, that's essential into whatever is happening. Because yes, it could come from down here, from the Most High, but we're seeing the support force which is on the ground. All right, the staff, the customers, the people, right? That's what makes something set in stone. And we're understanding as well that an office in faith is steady and firm. All right, that the office in faith is steady and firm. All right. That office, if you have faith, then you have to be firm. All right. And if you have an office, then you have to have works. And this, we went to the scripture about the devils believe too. So the belief is, once again, an office being created, but do they do things in that belief? Do they work? So they have an office, but they don't work. That's what the devils do. So yes, belief is an office. All right. But you also have to work in the office. All right. And then once again, have that position for a long time, to be steadfast in that. And that's why key that when people have a job and they don't come or they're late, they're going to get fired, because you have to be steadfast for a position.
And I kind of like to use that there is when it comes to life and you being a child of the Lord or an employee of the Lord, mm-hmm. or a staff of the Lord, mm-hmm. and you're not doing your job properly, what ends up happening?
Fire, hell.
Fire, hellfire, lake of fire.
Right, that's why it's all there. That if the staff not supporting, then the staff fired. In the real world, staff not supporting, unsupporting staff, fire. Lake of hell. All right, that goes back again why he said, oh, he's going to come there and say, Lord, 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 Lord. All right, you're going to be like, yo, I never knew you. All right, you wasn't in office. You was doing works of iniquity. You wasn't working in the office of the kingdom. Works of iniquity. So this is going back again. All right. So whatsoever things are of good report, if there's any virtue, praise, think on those things so that you don't get fired. All right. So that being said, you want to
At
say,
least if anything, the refining fire, like what you
the
speaking
refining,
about earlier, with the clay and the potter.
fire.
Yeah, that was good.
You don't want to be fire.
Not eternal fire.
Yeah. All right. So that being said, you want to say, all praises be unto the Most High Almighty, Issachar Christ, our Lord, our God, our Savior. This is the SC Community Church of Christ. My name is Archbishop Shamar.
And I'm Bishop Arak.
And this was our Sabbath report / lesson / gospel / song of the day, understanding faith. Peace and blessings.
Only the children of light is gonna understand this.
For there are 3 philosophical sects among the Jews, the followers of the first of which are the Pharisees, of the second, the Sadducees, and the third sect, and the third sect, and the third sect, which pretends to a severer discipline, are called the Seeds. These last are Jews by birth and Jews by birth.
This is the knowledge of the sea.